Hi, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of Vivel Talks. Today, we are hosting one of our partners, Amir, and as our frequent uh, followers know, we are holding these events every week with Lars, my co-founder, and to talk about more about the event, what to expect at the event, and also we're featuring one participant each week. So to understand their perspective of how they see, how they envision their partnerships, their participation in the event. And by the way, today I don't have a virtual background. I have a real, genuine background now. And I'm in Mersin. So Mersin is going to be one of the locations that we are going to have the event at. And it's going to be the second location after Cappadocia. So that's why I wanted to give you a sneak peek of what would you would get if you join the event in person. So let's kick off our discussion. Hi, Amir, how are you doing?
Well, Mini Lars, thank you very much for having me. I'm doing great. I'm moving to Bangkok for some time, and I can feel the vibe that you are having in your background. I really admire that specific place where you're at. I look forward to joining the event and celebrate the success with you collectively.
Okay. By the way, I'm having a bit background noise from you. If,
Yeah, is it too noisy or it's slightly noisy?
yeah, it's like slightly. Sometimes I'm having trouble hearing your voice. Lars, is it the same on your side, or is it
Yeah, it
me?
sounds maybe even like if a construction noise, like that's kind of the noise that I'm picking up. So I'm not sure if that's the background there in Bangkok. You said right?
Yeah, they just started construction right here like 10 minutes ago. I can move somewhere else if it's getting kind of noisier. I will need 5 more minutes.
Okay. I mean, if while you're on the move, we can just have the conversation going on with Lars. And okay, because I'm really having trouble, so the participants might be having trouble hearing you as well. So,
Part of the remote work side of things, isn't it? Like when you're looking for a
eh,
place. Like I think this is part of the struggle. I think we have all been doing like a call or being on a Twitter space or LinkedIn Live where you're like in a Starbucks. You're like, this is way too noisy. If I put my headphones on right now, it's going to definitely have that background. So I think this is part of the remote work struggle. So it's good sometimes
exactly,
to see the real life examples of that.
exactly.
Indeed, indeed.
So
So
one
I
time,
think they did stop for a while. But yeah, let's go ahead.
yeah. Okay, so let me ask you, how did you decide to be partners with Vival Network?
Well, Mina, as you know, we met back in Georgia where you and I were part of Touch Tech Festival. And there were several speakers that sort of motivated me. And you have one of the fantastic topics, which is about building the culture, team building, and building that harmony within teams of different cultures. With Sinofy, we have more than 12 nationalities working in 7 different locations at the moment. And sometimes it's not that easy to find the right tone to the right person explaining the concept because people have different definitions. And I thought what you were talking about and explaining makes total sense, and I could definitely resonate with that. And that was the first motivation to come up to you to say hello. And once we started talking about your job in the festival, because I have several creative friends who don't have an idea about blockchain and Web3 and DeFi, and I thought if we can help them to minimize their dependency on big platforms and agents and brokers and push the agenda forward of Web3, we could definitely help them out. And I have several examples. And I thought your story, the festival that I learned about, it's about building the community, bringing the experience, and bringing the experience like what you were developing in Turkey. That was a no-brainer that I wanted to become part of it and promote the idea across Asia Pacific.
Amazing. So, and if we are going to be like, having your presence, we would also like to understand what Sinofy Group is really doing in this space. How are you supporting the community? What are you doing in the space? What is your focus area?
Well, Sinopy, we do two things. The first, what we do is we have a pure marketing agency in Shanghai. We always look for projects that have a social impact or infrastructure development. So we join forces with them and propel their agenda or interest across Asia Pacific. And the second one, we do have a very small fund at the moment in Dubai. We make pre-seed investments, and we always look for tech development teams that have ambitious and daring ideas, but they might lack how to build the tokenomics. They don't know how to growth hack the community. They don't have advisors that could help them to build overall financial projections. And that's where our partners, our advisor, and our network comes in handy. So these are the two specific things that Sinopy is doing, and that's how we are trying to bring value in the space. Yeah, Mina, you are mute. Yeah.
Oops, I'm sorry. So I was like addressing to Lars. So Lars, this is one of the reasons why we decided to do the event as well, because we know that there are so many individuals, companies who are aspiring to be part of Web3, who are aspiring to have their business on Web3, whether it be like the solopreneurs or like, large companies, startups. So that's why we found out that, there's a great connection, like, where the synergies of both communities can help each other. And so that was one of the things that was like, igniting us to start off this event, the series, and the community. So if you are going to be in the event, you will get to know companies and individuals who are in Web3 and can help you build your business, scale your business, expand your network and business on Web3 as well. Lars, do you want to add anything else on that?
Yeah, I think the beautiful thing about both the remote workspace and also the Web3 space is that it all goes out of a certain independence. And I think that when you talk about location independence, that's more on the remote work side. But I think if you talk financial independence, that's when you really can also utilize the blockchain and what Web3 has to offer. And those things are so close together as far as how they think, but they don't do enough cross pollination. I think the remote work community should have an ability to use Web3 as a tool to add to their communities. And I think that Web3 communities should look at remote work as a structure to build their businesses, because what is the problem for Web3 is most of the time the scalability of the teams, the scalability of where do they come from, how do they get paid. Like, there's a lot of things in the infrastructure of Web3 that could be very beneficial for remote work, right? Cross payments across borders with crypto is a lot easier than if you would have to do it with regular fiat payments. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to basically utilize the global network that we have with talent and not be restricted by like more of a centralized, centralized way of doing things. But on the other hand, I think that the remote work community and just in general, like the little pockets of people in different areas that say, take Madeira, take Bansko, where I am right now, like those communities could be utilizing the Web3 technology, even NFTs, to reward their communities, to reward their members for being a part of a certain vision. And I think if we can educate people on those cross pollination, then I think we have something really special here, because these are the people that move this world forward, because they do things against the status quo that I think are the future. And I think that you guys both believe the same. I mean, it's unavoidable after COVID that this is not the path that we're heading towards. So yeah, I'm very excited to see what this event will bring forward, what type of partnerships, what type of relationships are being formed. When we're in Turkey, going more out of a personal connection first, where I think most conferences don't take that into account. So that's one of the reasons why we do this type of thing, where we talk to everybody personally. We kind of go through the whys of the people, right? If the why is good, then I think we can go very far. And if you do that with music and connecting people, then the result of the Web3 and remote work is almost secondary, but it's still very present in the culture. So I think that's the type of thing we're trying to achieve, is to create a new type of event where we can bridge certain industries that normally don't communicate as much.
Yeah, that's really very important too, because like one of the reasons why we designed this event is because like we went through the pain that we couldn't network with as many people as we wanted when we were at events. So that's why we want to keep this limited to at most to 180 people, which means that we are only going to have 90 ticket holders and bringing their plus ones. So that's really important because like we really want to create that intimacy in the event so that everyone's like literally networking, knowing each other so that they can build these relationships forever. So not only during the event, but just like having the connection moving forward as well. So I mean, how do you see the synergies like between Vivel and Sinofy? How do you see it like moving forward in the long run?
Well, I think what this additional point to what Les has said, we had a lot of um, identical thinking. I come from Central Asia myself, and I had a lot of refugees from Afghanistan. Probably you already met my partners here from Palestine. I saw these people struggling with documentation bureaucracy of centralized entities, and the promise of DeFi solved all these issues. And with a single click on a mobile phone, they could have their crypto and exchange it to any fiat currency. I think that was a mind-boggling, trust-breaking, total demolition of central entities. That's just to the point of what Larsa just said, and there are dozens of other examples. But answer to your question, I think we would become a very loyal, reliable partners and ambassadors of your project across Asia Pacific, where we have humongous presence and connections and network. I'll be speaking in several events, including the February 19th event in Bangkok. I'll definitely be making about the belt and its promise in terms of bringing quality people in Turkey and how this intimate conversations could lead to actual realization of practical application of Web3, for example. We would definitely be telling a story that it's not only about generating additional capital, it's about bringing social impact to the next level, making difference and changes not only across societies but across different nationalities. And somehow, bring my personal message is, regardless where you're from, your passport doesn't have to define who you are and free people from the biases. But you, as a being the Web3 enthusiast, I believe in the sovereign identity. And the sovereign identity, as long as it uses Web3 and follow the agenda, I think that's what's going to bring people together, regardless where they're from. These are some key points that we want to communicate in Asia during our roadshow across Asia Pacific. These are the values that I stick with, and I try to communicate when I'm on the stage, either delivering the keynote or on the panel discussion. And I very look forward to bringing different communities together in Turkey and look forward to connecting with your communities that you're bringing to the festival this May.
Amazing. We're so much looking forward to having the audience from different locations as well. And as you said, now that the passport, and I think moving forward in the next maybe 20 years, is going to have even less significance. Now we see countries passing laws, and we are just like, seeing more digital nomad visas being processed. So I mean, the world has shaken, that's for sure. I mean, we are going to be seeing more of these happening. And if you want to just like, learn more about these, I'm now just like telling our audience that if you follow us, then you'll be hearing more about these from firsthand, because our participants, our community members are going to be the leaders, the thought leaders in both Web3 and remote workspace. And about the event, when I was telling you, when we were having that coffee and when I was like telling you about that event, what made you think that this event is different than most of the other events that are targeting the same audience? How do you see the vision of Vivel, just like being different or just like shaping the future of these communities, creating an impact?
Yeah, I think Lars, I apologize for the noise in the background again. I'll try to be as clear as possible. I think Lars earlier responded to this question. I wanted to solidify his point. Unlike other conferences where people just come and mingle and listen to lectures and workshops, your event brings the experience and lifestyle. And when you were describing the event, it gave me an impression of a Burning Man, which is quite famous brand already. And I haven't seen anything like Burning Man in the US outside of the US. And I thought what they bring in the creativity, the thought leaders, the partners, in a heart of Turkey, especially in May. I think that that's a synergy that I have been looking for myself because I'm a frequent visitor in Turkey myself. So first is the experience that I felt as you were describing. Two, I'm a lifestyle person. I do enjoy lifestyle. And third, these are the engaging, soul engaging, deep conversations where people don't talk to you just aligned with their interest, but there is more than interest. There is that deep connection. And I thought your description somehow resonated with my values, and that was sort of triggered me to become part of it. And I imagine where there are limited number of hundreds of people, for example, 4 to 5 days getting together, reminded me of my childhood camps where we used to go to the workshops, meeting the like-minded people when I was learning more about basics of coding. Some of these people became good friends of mine, from whom I still learn about the DeFi stuff, about the coding, about the change and differences. And these are the memories that sort of identify the importance of your meeting and the agenda that you're pushing forward. And therefore, I wanted to become part of it in a form and in any shape.
It's long term. I think that's the word that comes to mind. Like I recorded like one of my close friends. What he did, he actually he actually started asking me questions on the podcast that we have, and he basically asked me, so what makes it stand out from the rest? And I said, well, it's that feeling where you were like a kid, and you have the ability to connect with other people in a safe space. And it wasn't about where you were from. Like when we go on a holiday in Italy as a kid, it wasn't about where you were from. It was about you might want to play football together, and because of that, you have something in common. And because you have something in common, you touch on that personal level, and then anything that follows from that was like extra, was like a bonus. And I think that that's the same here, right? If you can connect with people because you have similar morals and values, then I think the business is a result of whatever that connection was. And I think that's something that is never being pushed first. I think it's always pushed of like, how much sales can I make from this? Well, I can promise you, if you look into your own network, the people that actually pay your bills are not the people that you sold to. It's the people that actually believed in you and had a connection with you on a deeper level than just that transactional part. And I think that that is something that, to the core, was the reason, why Mina and I instantly had like, yes, we run into the same thing. It wasn't something that was just us that was feeling this, because the moment we start sharing this, more and more people said, yeah, conferences, they have their good sides, but they also have their flaws. And then being able to make that open for like a lot of people in the world by remote work, and what you're describing about like kind of like the borderless world, where the nationality style doesn't always matter as much, I think is a very like valid point. And I'm proud to say that from like the people that have committed to this, we already have 20 nationalities right now already going to participate in Turkey, of like the people that have tickets. So that to me is already like, I'm already proud just because we could bring 20 nationalities together. And I don't know how many more we will add when we finalize the 90 tickets that are going to be sold. So that's why I am passionate about this, is because It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter necessarily like what the main why is for yourself to be there. It's about that you have similar people with similar values and similar directions of heading towards a more decentralized world, in all senses of that word, because location is also a way to decentralize. And I think that that's why I'm excited about, and to bring people that have that mindset themselves, to push that agenda to in a very genuine and light lifestyle related way, where music is something that has always brought us together. And I think this is no different from that. So that's why that plays a big role in this too. And sometimes the perspective of a creator or a DJ or an artist could really elevate your way of thinking as an entrepreneur. So I think that that's another element that I think that cross pollination between Web3 and remote work is present, but also creator to entrepreneur and vice versa is very present. So I think that is extremely exciting to me.
And you mentioned our current participants. So for our audience, if you're curious who's attending, you can check our website. You will see all of the details for the event and also the participants. Lars put together a cool format where we can just like, get connected with the participants and see who's coming. So if you're interested and still have your question marks, you can see more about the event, what we are envisioning, what we are dreaming, because like we're really dreaming about this. And I mean, this is also like the co-creation of everyone in Vivel Network. That's why we just like wanted to call it Vivel Network, because we really want this to be an ongoing community where we are in touch with each other all throughout the year, not only for an event once a year. And I think that's what's making us different as well, because like with these large big events, it's only once a year where people come together, they just like enjoy and just like love the vibes, but then they just like go away back to their homes and don't see each other until the next one. So with us, we really want to keep this alive, where we are just like having our community partners with us. So we will also have an app where you can just like interact. So being a partner is also going to bring you that, being interactive with the whole community. And for our community members, it's also going to bring you the benefit of being interactive with both the partners, the providers, and the network. So if I ask you, Amir, if someone, a friend, someone from your network, maybe after this event someone comes and asks you, why should I be coming, why should I be part of this Vivel network, what would your answer be?
Well, it's a good question, an important question. I think first time when I was learning about NFTs, people didn't understand how come people could buy and sell the JPEG kind of pictures for millions and thousands of dollars. And one of the idea that sort of triggered my thinking a bit differently, a sense of belonging. Because when you buy, especially PFP kind of NFT, you are in the club where you and people like yourself are sharing the same values when it comes to NFT, because there is a deep conviction. This is a big deal. And you're part of it, regardless where you're from. And Lars and I, we touched upon briefly about nationalities, about sovereign identity, about a borderless kind of community. I think the first important, and probably that's the core of everything when it comes to building the concept and festival like Vivo Network, is a sense of belonging. Especially during era of COVID, I was in Shanghai myself, where I stayed about 4 years and a half. Um, Even though I was living in the city of 30 million people, I didn't have a sense of belonging somewhere except for online world, obviously. And it made me think how come I became part of a free, and in the physical world, I don't have sense of belonging. And that is why your festival gives that promise and hope. Those who join and decide to join the club, they enrich the community, they make it stronger, and people are in there to support each other, not to take advantage from each other. And it's a collective mindset rather than individual mindset. That would be my sort of argument and valid proposition that I could convey to the audience that I am interacting and talking to. And again, to repeat myself, and I'm extremely proud as a Sinophi to be joining with you to tell your story. I think the connection issues, Lars, right?
Yeah, I think so, but I think it's still up and running. So I will I will just continue. But yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. I think an ecosystem means you're doing it together, and everybody has access to the people that were part of it, and that would only grow as time progresses, as more events happen. And one of the things that I liked about what we were sharing the first time that we were on the call is that you guys are very connected with other events, because a lot of the time in this world we are very like competitive and very like looking at competition. We don't see competition. We want to actually help those events to get an audience too, because if they have similar values to us, that's not a bad thing. That's a great thing, because you now can attend both of these events because they're similar in their beliefs, and you can help each other to facilitate that, where people have meetup opportunities that go beyond your own event. You don't have to put your label of your name on anything or everything, because that's like the ego thing to do. But I think the best thing to do is do something right, and then help other people to succeed that are have similar visions. Even if they are events, even if they do the exact same thing as you, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. That means you're making progress in the way that people view your style events. If we have 5 events that do very similar things to us, that's not a bad thing. I think the only time that can be seen as competition is if they do it at the exact same time frame as you, because then it can take away from the ability for people to attend. So besides that, I don't think there is anything as competition in this new world. There's only collaboration, and you can decide for yourself: do you want to collaborate or do you want to compete? But I always would choose collaboration over competition. So when you mentioned like what you guys were doing in Istanbul with like the off-chain events, like that to me is like a great way to bring people from our audience to events like that during the year to meet up again, right? Because there's not always the ability to have a centralized place to know where you can meet up with the people that were at Vivel. And that's something that we want to provide in the form of like a web application or a really like intuitive site where you can actually see all the events that are going on, and you can see who is going to participate at what, so that you can see who you can meet up with again. And that's something that I think that what you were talking about in that call about the off-chain events, that seems very aligned with what we're doing. And we need like events and companies like that to participate in what we're doing as well. So I think that that's another thing. And I would love to kind of have your view maybe as like final points of like, how do you see collaborative events work next to each other rather than all under the same brand logo, whatever it might be?
I think I wouldn't be concerned about the corporate logo or branding whatsoever. I would be interested about the end goal, the outcome that we're trying to pursue. After all, people may or may not remember the logo, but they will definitely remember the effect. And as you were describing this story, I remember the origin of the open source development. Early days, Microsoft was they weren't open source; they were pretty much commercialized and selling all their products. And as Linux came up on a global stage, it made it open source, and then GitHub came along, and the global collaborative development teams made a history. And this open sourceness in Web3 with developers, with creatives, with thought leaders, with investors, retail investors, venture investors, investment firms. I think the melting point of all these people in Web3 makes it so unique. So I would be concerned about the end goal, how we could join forces to make a social impact, and show the centralized entities that they don't own everything, they might own something, and it was the power of decentralized entities who could make a history and then start a new chapter. So that would be my take on this.
And I think this is really important, Lars, what you mentioned about collaboration, because now we entered into a different area where competition is not the thing, it's about all collaboration, because we have scarcity with resources. That's why we have the shared economy. So I mean, and I think everyone realized that there's this exponential growth opportunity if we come together and grow together. So instead of each, event provider or each, company growing in a silo, why not come together, join our forces, and just like, provide whatever we have to other communities as well. So, and that's kind of like a message to all the other communities, community leaders. If you are interested in this idea of collaboration, if you are like sharing the same vision, if your community is like, just like us with like-minded people, why not just like come and join forces with us so that we are providing this value to more people around the world. Okay, so thank you, Amir, for being with us today. And I would also like to thank our audience, the ones who are watching it live and who are going to watch it later. We are going to be here each week on Wednesday. Time is changing based on our guests, but please just like follow us, follow my profile, Lars's, and also do we have the email ready? You can just like email us to get more information. If you're interested in partnering with us, in being part of the community, attending in person, please do reach out to us so that we can give you more details about the event. Guys, do you have any final remarks?
Well, Lars and Mina, thank you so very much for having me. I'm extremely honored and proud to be with you. And to convey the message again, I think we're quite aligned in terms of collaborative work and the same message that we're proud to communicate in Asia. And I very look forward to helping my network, bringing them over to Turkey and celebrate the inception of the great community and the project you have started.
Yeah, and I think my final remarks is that you should go where you're treated well, and I think that one way to do that is to go with people that you have like-minded feelings towards, like as far as vision, as far as morals and values, and I think that um, I believe we will be that place the end of May, right? Like I said, certain time slots. There's many events that are great, Burning Mans of this world, the Circles of this world, the ADEs of this world, and they all have their place. They always will have their place because they made you feel a certain way. So our aim, our dream is to be an event where you look forward to the end of May every single year. And it doesn't matter if you are the one that year that is going to go in person, or you're the one that looks through the window from digital, that you all have that sense of belonging, no matter where you are in the world. And I think that that's like the message from today. I believe that comes through. And Amir and Mina, they are advocates for these ways of living, just like myself. And if you feel like that is something that resonates with you, check out what we're doing. Read about the why that we have. Look at the attendees that go, and check out the rough program that we have. And if that feels aligned, then I think that there shouldn't be anything stopping you from joining something like this.
Yes, definitely. So we are looking forward to meeting you in person in Turkey in May. So if you feel like the same, please do reach out to us and follow us to see more about the event and see all about the new announcements, because we'll be having even more announcements in the upcoming days. So take care, everyone. We'll be seeing you next week on LinkedIn, on live stream, on Twitter, and on YouTube. Bye.